Hey everyone! This week I'm going to be talking about some basic tips that I would give to other solo female travelers that are feeling a little bit unsure. First of all, I'll start by saying I love traveling solo. Why do I love it? One is out of convenience because you're not always going to find that one person who A, you travel well with, B, wants to go to the same place as you, and C, has the time to do it. Because not a lot of people have the time to do long-term travel if that's what you're doing, and that's what I am often doing. That ends up being an issue to find a travel partner. My solution, just go solo. And oftentimes I find it's better. Why do I love it so much? Because I don't have to think about, do you want to do what I want to do? Is it okay if we eat there? Oh my god, I have to go to the bathroom. I don't want to do that actually. Can we just chill instead? These are the kind of things that come up when you're with someone else, but when you're by yourself, you just do you. It's super simple. That's why I love it. But traveling alone as a woman obviously is a lot different than traveling as a man. I know we're trying to all be equal here, but the reality is that there is a lot of safety concerns for women as opposed to a man. I have guy friends that fall asleep on the side of the road, and that's okay. For me, not really okay. So that's something to think about. I'm gonna go through some basic tips. They're kind of like guidelines. I don't always follow them 100% perfectly, but I try, and I do think that they will definitely bring you to a place where you feel safer, and that's what we want. Number one, trust your gut. Always, 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 always. This is literally the most important and most helpful thing you can do for yourself as a woman traveling alone. That feeling that you get when you're in a place or you're with a person or near a person that you just feel not right about, that feeling in your gut or your stomach or your intestines, you look at them, you're looking around and you're like, this don't feel right, this don't smell right, you know, that's what I'm talking about. If you find yourself feeling that way, just remove yourself from that situation as quickly and as not noticeably as possible, depending on what it is. Trust your gut. I can tell you that I try to do this as much as possible, and honestly, it's always worked. The times where I haven't trusted my gut, or rather listened to it as well as I should have, that's when I've gotten into some more tricky situations that I wish I hadn't gotten myself into. So trust your gut always, and you will be good. Number two that I try to do is try to arrive wherever I am going during the day. If I'm moving from a new country, like a plane trip, or I'm moving from one town to a new one, then I try to schedule my bus or whatever transit in such a way where I will arrive to the new place during the day. Why do I do this? Well, when you're in a foreign place, you don't really know beforehand, or at least you don't know firsthand what the people are like and what the atmosphere is like. But across the board, somewhere during the day is always more safe and comfortable as opposed to what it would be at night. The lights are on, the sun is up so you can see. There we go. There's more people walking around, stores are open, so if you get lost you can ask someone, or if you're looking for something you can ask. There's just more comfort around that as opposed to being at night. And also public transit runs during the day, so it's more helpful to get to wherever I'm going to, so that's why I do it. The other thing I'll say, and this is number three, try to maybe have some hard copies or write down important information beforehand if you are feeling a little bit more stressed. Yes, you can have all this information on your phone. Yes, you can use an offline map. Definitely, those are good things to have. I have a few on my phone, but sometimes your phone dies, or sometimes there's no service. And if you're like me and you like to go to the middle of nowhere quite frequently, that's kind of my thing, is just to go off the grid, you're gonna want to write down some important information. What could this be? Maybe hard copies of your itineraries, whether it's a flight or whatnot. Maybe it's writing down address or the phone number of the guest house or hotel you're going to. These are important things that if your technology fails you for whatever reason, that you have a backup and that you're more comfortable. So that's one thing that's kind of helpful, even not for women. That also applies to guys too. I think that writing stuff down will be super helpful and keep you safer, and you're not going to be stuck somewhere. One thing, now this one I would say more so applies to women, so here we go. Next one is, don't tell everyone where you're going or where you're staying. It's kind of strange when I think of the times where I blatantly lied to people, or when I've just avoided questions. It goes with trusting your gut. When you meet someone, you kind of get a feeling on whether or not that person is going to be trustworthy or whether you feel comfortable with them. Now, if you don't feel comfortable and you do get that weird gut feeling, my advice is don't tell them where you're going. Don't tell them where you're staying. Don't tell them where you've been even. Just don't tell them anything about your whereabouts. Just don't say anything. Try not to answer that question. Lie if you need to. Lying is fine. I'm telling y'all to lie. Go ahead, do it. Lie if it keeps you safer, honestly. The only thing I don't lie about is about being married or having a boyfriend. I'm gonna get some serious backlash off this probably, but I don't care. I don't like to wear a wedding ring or a fake wedding ring or say I have a boyfriend because I feel like it kind of promotes that behavior in a way that, you know, okay, the only reason this girl's not talking to me is because they're married. So I'm just gonna go keep bothering the next ones, because eventually I'll find one that's not married. I feel like the better option is that if you feel it's safe enough, if you think it's safer to lie, then by all means, go ahead and lie. I don't. I say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I feel like that's better for society as a whole. That's my philosophical take on it. Lying about it kind of encourages that behavior more. So, and what do I mean by that behavior? I mean overtly bugging you, hitting on you until you have to literally just walk away and not say anything. That. What I would do in terms of not lying is tell someone back home where you are. Why should you do this? For safety and as a backup. Like I said, in case something happens, if someone back home knows the last place you've been, that'll be really helpful. You can also share your location. A lot of apps, I think on Facebook and I think on WhatsApp as well, you can literally share your location, either a live one or that moment in the present. That's also a really cool thing to use. I would suggest that in other instances, even back home sometimes when you're going to meet a new person. That's another handy thing to do as well, not just traveling, but kind of in life in general. Next thing I would suggest is not to stand out as much as you can. That goes with, first of all, what you wear. If you don't see a lot of the other women wearing short shorts or crop tops and these things that maybe look trendy and cool, but no one else is wearing it, that might draw some unwanted attention in a bad way and potentially put you in a dangerous situation. I'm not saying that you should not wear what you want, but what I am saying is that just be aware that of what's normal there and what may make other people shocked or even make the women uncomfortable too. That's something that I think is even more of a respect of culture as well. That's something that you want to consider as you're traveling around, just to be a little bit more one with what other local people are doing in terms of how you dress. So if you don't want to put yourself out there and stand out, then that's one good way to do it. Second thing is about your techie things. I'm talking phones or fancy cameras. Usually when I am traveling, especially on different public transit, unless I see a local person pull out a phone or a camera or what, I usually won't do it. So until I see someone else do it, I don't. And I feel like that keeps me sort of in tune with, okay, what's normal here? What do most people have? Because again, if you're showing like that you're very obviously a tourist and you're not from here and maybe you have these fancy gadgets, if theft is an issue in that place, you don't want to draw that kind of attention to yourself for sure, because that could end up very, very badly for you. If someone follows you and tries to steal your things, that's not what you want. So try to not stand out by what you wear and what you're holding in your hands and carrying around with you. Next thing is walk purposefully and confidently. What do I mean by this? Walk as if you know exactly where you're going, even if you have zero clue where you're going. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get lost. It's gonna happen. You know, you're traveling to new places, you're gonna get confused. But try not to look confused. So then you ask, okay, well, what do I do when I'm confused then? Here's what you're gonna do. When you feel lost and you don't know where you're going, I want you to look for a place where you can stop with purpose. What can these places be? A bus stop is a good one. A store is a good one. Libraries, different types of offices, even if it's like a building that's just an office building. Obviously you don't belong there, but if you can just go through the doorway and maybe check your phone there, it gives it a lot more purpose for you to stop, as opposed to just stopping in the middle of the street and looking around like you don't know what's going on. If you look confused and lost, that's gonna show those people that may take advantage of you that you're vulnerable in that moment, and that they'll know, hey, that person, that's the one. I choose you. Try to walk with purpose and walk confidently. I'm thinking head up, a good speed and strut. Work it. And then if you need to stop, stop at a place which makes sense to stop at. The last thing on my list is don't go out at night alone. The only exception to this would be is if you're comfortable with the place already. Maybe you've been there a few days or a few weeks and you already know what the atmosphere is like at that time of day. The other thing you can go about doing this is asking the locals or workers at a hotel or guest house and asking, okay, what is it like at night? Are there certain streets I should avoid? Yada, yada, yada. The other solution to this problem is if you do want to go at night, find a friend. That is usually a good way to go about it. Any times where I've wanted to go out, I usually try and find someone that wants to come with me, and that way I feel more comfortable, and I can also ask the locals too what it's like at night to get an idea on where I should go and maybe some areas that I should avoid. When you pick your buddy, remember still to trust your gut. Don't go out at night alone unless you are very sure of what that place is like. That'll keep you safer. That's all I'll mention for today. There are some other things that I would definitely suggest to people, but I wanted to give just a good basis. These are basic things that I would suggest to any female traveling alone across the board, no matter where you go. Even at home, these are things that could help you out. Do I follow these 100% of the time perfectly? No, I don't. I try my best. Like I said, these are guidelines and try to do them as much as you can. That will hopefully keep you feeling more safe and more comfortable in traveling solo as a female, because I think it's something that I would love to encourage more people to do because I've had such wonderful experiences and I want everyone to have them too. Get out there, get adventuring, but be safe, my friends. See you next time.